One of the most common questions that people have about money is, I have X dollars, but what should I do with it? Well, today, we'll be going over an easy 6-step plan to answer that question so that you're making the most out of your hard-earned money and are set up for financial success. Let's jump into the first and most important step for literally everybody, and that is to build up a small emergency fund that covers at least a month's worth of living expenses. This money acts as a safety net during unexpected events such as the loss of a job or a medical emergency, and it should be a priority for everyone, as being in an emergency that you can't afford can massively set you back in life. As for where to keep your emergency fund, you want it to be somewhere that is easily accessible in a pinch. That's why high-yield savings accounts are your best bet, as they pay you a decent amount in interest on your savings, and they're federally insured so there's no risk of losing your money, and you can easily take money out when you need it. I talk a lot more about what a high-yield savings account is and how to choose one in my video covering the best high-yield savings accounts, and I'll link that below for reference. But if you just want a quick and easy recommendation, Ally has always been a reliable choice, and I also think American Express and Discover are great, especially if you have credit cards with them and want to consolidate everything at one company. Now, there are tons of other great options as well, with some paying higher interest rates, but my perspective is that these rates change all the time, so I wouldn't really choose a bank solely based on the current interest rate. Once your emergency fund is established with at least 1 month's worth of expenses, it's time to shift focus towards step number 2, which involves taking advantage of 2 ways to use your money that are guaranteed to provide a lot of value. Specifically, we're talking about getting any available employer matches that your job might offer and paying down high interest debt, in that order. The business you work for will oftentimes have some form of employer-sponsored retirement plan for its employees. Most commonly, this is called a 401k or a 403b plan if you work for the government or a nonprofit. An employer match is basically when that business will match the contributions that you make into the retirement plan. For example, if you contribute $3,000 to your 401k, your employer will also contribute $3,000 to it. Now, the specific numbers of how much your employer will contribute will differ based on the employer, and not all employers even offer a match. But if this is something that you have available, then you must try to take full advantage of it because it's essentially free money. Consider this. If your employer offers a 50% match, meaning that they will match half of what you contribute, you are effectively getting a massive 50% return on investment immediately. You simply can't pass this up. The other high-value way to spend your money is to pay down any high-interest debt you may have. Now, I can't really give an exact number on what is considered high interest, especially in this world where inflation and interest rates are changing so rapidly, but what I'm talking about here are things like credit cards and personal loans, and in some cases even private student loans. The interest on these loans will eat away at your budget, and by eliminating these financial burdens, you free up more money to invest and save for your future. Once you've set up your employer-sponsored retirement plans to get the most out of your employer match and paid down all your high-interest debt, you're ready to move on to step 3, which is to grow your emergency fund balance from the original 1 month's worth of expenses to something more substantial. You want to make sure you have enough to cover an unexpected job loss, car and home repairs, or of course medical bills. Just keep in mind that you don't want to keep too much in an emergency fund, as money sitting in a savings account could be better invested in something like the stock market. The exact amount that you grow your emergency fund to is up to you, but 3 to 6 months worth of expenses is often thrown around as a general guideline. The way I look at it, if you have a very stable source of income like a government job, you'll be fine with a smaller emergency fund holding just a few months worth of expenses. But if you work in a high-risk industry or your income varies greatly, a larger emergency fund holding 9 to 12 months worth of expenses may be a safer choice. Otherwise, 6 months should be perfectly fine for most people. With our emergency fund fully funded, we're finally moving on to step 4, which is the last of our foundational financial steps before we can move on to the more fun stuff with investing. Step 4 involves paying off all your moderate interest debt or any debt that simply causes you so much stress to hold that you would be better off paying off that debt for your mental health. For the purpose of this step, we'll consider moderate interest debt to be anything above 5%, excluding any mortgage you may have. Moving on to step 5, we're finally getting to some of the fun stuff like investing. The not as fun part about this step is that your investing priority should be to invest towards your retirement before you start investing in other things. With your emergency fund fully stocked and your annoying debts paid off, you can finally focus on investing in an IRA. An IRA, or individual retirement account, is one of the best investment accounts that you can have because it comes with a number of tax advantages, and paying less taxes is one of the easiest ways you can get the most out of your money. Again, I go a lot deeper into what an IRA is in my other video that will be linked below, so please check that out if you want to learn more. For 2023, the IRA contribution limits are $6,500 for those under age 50 and $7,500 for those age 50 or older. So do your best to contribute up to the limit and make sure you invest the money that's in the account after you put your money in. If you finally maxed out your IRA, you should also continue to contribute to any 401k or other similar retirement plan that you may have access to. How much you invest here is a personal choice, but ideally, the combined contributions that you make into your IRA and 401k should be at least 10% of your gross income. Once you've saved that much for retirement, you can move on to the last and final step. The final step in this 6-step plan for how to handle your money is the most flexible, because it's really just you deciding what you think is best for your life. I'd say there's 4 main things that people at this step in the process should prioritize, which are investing more towards your retirement, investing in an HSA, saving for college, or just saving for other big life moments. If you want to save more towards retirement, and maybe even retire early, then you can save up to the maximum contribution limit in your 401k or similar plan. Once that's maxed out, you can continue to invest in stocks in a brokerage account or look into other investments such as real estate. Another option is an HSA or health savings account. This is a tax-advantaged investment account that comes with more tax benefits than any other account I can think of. However, the caveat to this is that you need a certain type of health insurance plan, which I discuss in my health insurance video, and the money in the account must be spent on medical expenses. But hey, we're all human, so odds are we'll all have medical expenses to pay for in our lifetime. Still, if an HSA isn't something you're able to take advantage of, there's also the option of a 529 plan, which is yet another savings account with tax benefits, this time with the exception that the money must be spent on educational expenses. These are great if you wish to save for college for yourself, your kids, or other relatives. Lastly, and perhaps most excitingly, you can save up money towards whatever big purchases you feel like. This could be a down payment on a house, saving up to start a business, maybe getting a new car, or even a big vacation. It's really up to you. With that said, do keep in mind that if you're saving towards something that you'll spend on in a few years or so, you want to keep that money somewhere relatively safe, like a high-yield savings account. Any longer-term goals than that should be invested in something that's a little riskier with a higher return, such as a stock market index fund. And there you have it, your 6-step plan to financial success. Remember, these steps are just a guide and everyone's financial journey is unique, but by following these steps, you'll be on the right track towards success. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, let me know in the comments below and subscribe for more 5-Minute Finance.